Welcome trainers to the series where we update the type chart and edit all 18 types with my own changes as well as your own input. From the interactions they have with other types, certain battle effects associated with the type, and any alterations we can make to existing information regarding the type. The spooky season is right around the corner, so what better time to tackle the ghost type than now? Well, don't actually tackle the ghost type. Without Scrappy, it's not going to work. The ghost type is one of my personal favourites for a few reasons. It's aggressive as a late game sweeper, or to get an early lead, and is a great option to set up and support the team. I'm a little gutted it took until Gen 3 to get a decent handful of ghost types, but now there's a wide range of options to allow trainers to play around with different strategies and to try out some spooky shenanigans. The choice is yours. Do you go on the offense and take advantage of Ghost's ability to hit everything for neutral damage or greater? It may only be super effective to itself and psychic, but when you can prevent your opponent from switching as a result of a powerful move coming their way, then you can really control the board state to your advantage. The only threats that really keep Ghost in check are dark and normal types. If you don't have one of these on your team, then you're susceptible to being swept by a powerful ghost type spamming Shadow Ball. On the other hand, do you go on the defensive and appreciate not one, but two immunities to normal and fighting? Having a resistance to poison and bug is a nice bonus too. It gives you flexibility when baiting a powerful close combat or facade. In VGC especially, having an immunity to moves like Fake Out is pivotal when planning your gameplay, as you avoid flinching while setting up a trick room. Also, the Steel, Ice, Rock, Normal and Dark types in your team love baiting fighting moves, only for you to get a free switch into a healthy ghost type in the back. This alone should make you realise that this type is already very powerful, so what can we do to change the interactions with other types? Should we focus more on offense and make types weaker to Ghost, or should we focus on defense and have it resist a few extra types? Well, if you saw the previous video to this series, I made Ghost super effective to ground. It will be swapped for Psychic Sweetness, since I feel more and more people are warming up to the afterlife, or at least aren't as scared to Ghost than before. If I'm being completely honest, there's a lot more in the living world you should be scared of than whatever's afterwards. Also, since Ghost is already fairly aggressive, the last change that I'll be making is that Normal drops its immunity to Ghost. So finally, the bulky normal behemoths can't rely on screwing Ghost types over. Now to balance this out, I've made a few types resist Ghosts, so players can at least switch around a little easier. Dark is unchanged, but we'll be adding electric, poison and steel to the list of resistances. I covered electric in its own video, but basically it's the closest we have to the light type, and since Ghosts aren't as powerful in the light, then their moves shouldn't be doing much to electric types. Poison resists too, because Ghosts resist poison. We had to have two different types resisting each other's moves. So what better than poison? Since should a ghost type try to inhabit a poisonous monster, I think it would harm itself more than actually benefit from it. As for steel resisting, this is just a callback to how the type chart used to be. The change was made in Gen 6 when Aegislash was running rampant, and I think it was just a balancing change so players could at least damage Aegislash with ghost moves. Steel resisting ghost just makes sense to me. Steel is the most solid material out of every type, and Ghost is the least solid, making it technically the weakest substance, so to speak. Also, if Ghost is the most offensive type, and Steel is the most defensive type, then Steel should have the advantage going off the phrase, the best offense is a great defense. Speaking of defense, let's see what I've done to Ghost's defensive capabilities. Ghost will still be weak to itself and dark, but I've included electric to the list too. Like I mentioned earlier, light beats Ghost, and electric is the closest thing we have to it. It pains me to say this, but Ghost is going to drop its immunities to normal and fighting. I mentioned this all in the normal video, but don't worry, these two immunities will carry elsewhere in the type chart so that other types can benefit from an immunity. So keep an eye on that for the future videos. Finally, instead of Ghost resisting poison and bug, it will instead resist poison and ground. I'm dropping bug because there are some terrifying bugs out there on par with Ghost. A swarm of bugs could quite easily give Ghost a run for its money. Pretty poor choice in words considering you can't take money with you as a ghost, unless you're Goldengo. Now what would one of these videos be, without shoutouts to your thoughts? One member that would like to remain anonymous says to drop an immunity or two, since Ghost is already overpowered without having to worry about if you should click a normal or fighting move. Well, good news, because I already had the same thought process. Then the Ghost guy himself, SpiderMark86, says Ghost should have its own status condition or terrain to boost Ghost power. To be fair, I have nerfed Ghosts a fair bit, with the only justification being ground has something else to look out for. So let's see. I have a set of terrains lined up for future videos, and while I've got status conditions in mind, I think we could give Ghost its own status condition dubbed Fear. Fear could be inflicted directly with a move similar to Will-O-Wisp or Thunderwave, or indirectly with a secondary effect to moves like Astonish or Nightshade. Maybe this could extend to non-ghost type moves like Growl, X-Scissor and Thief. When a Pokemon is in fear, it will be susceptible to all damage. Imagine Glaive Rush as secondary effect, but as a status condition. If you're in fear, then you're constantly worried about the worst situations. Pretty sure in a battle the worst situation would be a move doing additional damage. In this series, Burn, Paralysis and Freeze halves attack, speed and special defense respectively, so this is the closest we'll ever get to halving HP without actually halving it. Here's where the chart stands now. It's definitely looking different by now, and it's slowly starting to take shape. Just the poison and sleep condition to cover, which will be covered in future videos, so make sure to subscribe to not miss out. Over halfway now, and the support has already been really incredible. So honestly, keep it up guys, I really appreciate it. Until then however, make sure to train hard and team build to the best of your ability, and I'll see you guys in the next video.